We're live post game again. Of course we are. Did you think we wouldn't be? Michael Rand, Ryan Kostecka here as usual. Ryan, how's it going? We sat through that one. That was big, man. You're here to talk about the Rudy Gobert game, aren't you?
Oh, I've been waiting. I have
No.
been waiting and
Now,
waiting for
now,
this.
backstory: Ryan, sports editor at the Star Tribune now, previously with Utah Jazz,
Yep.
and knows, covered a ton of Rudy Gobert seasons. So that's the backstory before we start.
So I will say this: before I covered the Jazz, I was one of the biggest, not quite Draymond level, but Rudy Gobert, not a fan at all.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Covering him for 1 year with the Jazz, really, getting to know him, talk to him, understand his game, how he approaches the game defensively, talking to his teammates and Quinn Snyder, the head coach at the time, just blew my mind. Ever since then, I've been a big Rudy supporter, understanding that part of the game and how much he really means to it. And to see a night like tonight, I can't tell you how many texts I was getting from people tonight saying, "Man, maybe you were right about Rudy." I'm just, look, I'm not saying I'm right about Rudy as a whole, but just this is the Rudy Gobert game that every Wolves fan is going to remember forever.
Yeah.
I'm here to collect all of the receipts,
Yes. Yeah.
27, 24, and let's be real, a little bit of NBA history. The first player in league history to finish, I think, what was it? He shot 80% from the floor. Yeah, to finish with 25 points, 20 plus rebounds, and shoot 80% from the
Wow.
floor in an elimination game.
Wow.
Rudy Gobert. The crystals and everything work today, clearly.
And to do it against Luka, the guy that put him in a blender last year, the
Right?
guy that, finished him last year with Dallas, that's got to be sweet for him. I'm going to pull in the box score because you're right. He was tremendous. You had Randall was good, but 12 of 15 for Gobert. You had what 29
rebounds.
offensive rebounds. I mean, they went small the whole game. He was like Jackson Hayes. Nope, no Jackson Hayes. No, they put Maxi Kleber in, which was that's an interesting decision. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Guy on the broadcast said he hadn't practiced with them. He came over obviously in the trade. The Luka trade.
Why not try new things?
Try new things. I mean, I guess you go from not playing any reserves to playing a guy who's not played for you all year. But hey, why not? But yeah, Rudy was tremendous in this game. And for you too, I don't know if you covered him, but Conley, obviously the Utah
Mike was
connection.
Great too. Yep, knew Mike really well.
He had a big game, and he had the kind of the dagger 3 there at the end, puts them up 6, and that kind of, it didn't seal it, but it gave them that breathing room that they've been looking for all night. So 103-96. This was an ugly shooting night for the Wolves.
God.
Like I said, 7 of 47. Like, I don't think you could imagine them winning, let alone scoring 103 points, shooting 7 of 47 from the field. But they, from 3-point range, but they get enough offensive rebounds. They're great from 2-point range. They must have, they reined it in from 2. So that's the story of the game. With their overall shooting was 36 of 89, which means from 2-point range, they were, doing some quick math here, 29 for 42 from 2-point range.
That's going to get it done a lot of times.
That's a lot.
I will say this. The Rudy and Luka, kind of rivalry goes back even further, because a lot of people say Luka's the one who he's credited with with ending that kind of reign of the Jazz with with Rudy and Donovan and all those guys. That was the year, my first year, Mavs beat the Jazz in the postseason. That's when the Jazz decided to blow it all up. Quinn Snyder left, Ronald Hardy. And Luka put Rudy in a blender during that series as well. So, congrats to Rudy. This is big for him. I really, really enjoyed that. But right. I mean, they couldn't shoot. The Wolves couldn't hit, the broadside of a barn. They couldn't hit water if it fell out of the boat. Any other cliche you want to say. That was tight. To me, I actually texted my dad this and said, this reminds me of like every halftime game you go to for like NBA team, and you see all those little kids playing hoops at halftime, shooting threes. That's kind of what it looked like out there. I mean,
they couldn't make it.
They had so many good looks, though.
Yes,
they had so many good looks. So it was tough because it's in the flow of the offense and they've hit them. But at the same time, at some point, you kind of have to maybe. I mean, I'm kind of torn. I wish they would have stopped shooting them, but at the same time, their ability to keep shooting them, what they've done in the past, it really opened up the driving lanes, and that's why Rudy dominated. That's why Julius Randle was sensational in the fourth quarter. I mean, because the Lakers still respected the Wolves' ability to shoot from three, so they're still spread out, allowed Randall to really attack, get to the paint. I mean, granted, yes, the shooting wasn't good from deep, but I really do think the Wolves' ability to shoot from deep in general and their ability to keep launching them really opened things up, and that was the difference.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, because they kept at it. They got the shots, and I thought early third quarter you could see Chris Finch disgusted with some of the early shot selection because you had Luka coming out hobbled, and they're taking they're throwing up some quick threes. I think it was Randall and Ant put up some quick threes, didn't make them. I think they're trying to shoot their way back into a rhythm. Ant was like 0 for 11 from three tonight. He made the most threes of anybody in the league this year, but he couldn't hit tonight. But to their credit, they got it together enough after that to not let the game spiral away from each other. And that's what this whole season has been, them struggling to kind of contain those moments where things are spiraling away from them. And they showed the graphic during the game tonight. They were the better fourth quarter team in every game of this series. They were up one going into this one, so they were a +6 in this one. They played better in the fourth quarter of every single game in this series. I would not have predicted that. Now I might have said Wolves have a pretty good chance of this. ESPN, by the way, someone put this up there. 11 out of the 12 ESPN folks picked the Lakers to win this series.
Yes, they did. Was it Ramona Shelburne was the only one to pick the Wolves? I think
I can't remember who it was. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up because it was pretty.
No, you're right. Starting the second half, those possessions. Get back to that really quickly. I mean, what frustrated Finch so much? Oh yeah, who was
Tim Bontemps was
all right, Tim. Good job, Timmy. We like that.
Yeah.
But go back to the second half, like I said, to start that, they launched 3 straight threes on the first 3 possessions.
Yeah.
I think Finch's real problem with it is that you had Luka Doncic, who just left the game, couldn't move, guarding Ant on one of them and Julius on the other. It's like you can go by him. I mean, Rand, we have a chance of going by Luka at this point.
Yeah, a lot of people
really do.
Many people were doing it. Many people were doing it.
I think that was the frustration there. But when it came to the fourth quarter, the big question this whole entire series, we talked about it, was Luka and LeBron, 2 of the best closers in NBA history, the most clutch guys, going up against a team who has struggled all season long in the clutch. And, going into this game, the Wolves were a +35 in the fourth quarter. And the 3 wins, they were a +29. And tonight, I mean, I was looking at it. They went on so there was one point, it was the Lakers took the lead on Luka's shot with 6:30 left, 87-88. The Wolves then went on a massive run. I got to do some math here really quickly. It was a 15-6 run.
Yep.
Next thing you know, over the next, 6 minutes?
Yeah.
15-6 run over the next 6 minutes. That's everything you need to know about this team. And the beauty of it is they got back to attacking the rim. They didn't turn the ball over. They stayed controlled, composed, and Ant couldn't shoot well. But like Rudy said postgame, he made every right play.
He did.
He stayed patient. And so I really, really think this Wolves team, they might be for real.
I think they are.
The only real question they had coming into this postseason was, can they close?
Yeah.
If a game is close, can they do it? And they just did that against arguably one of the best clutch closing teams in the NBA. And they did it with authority. Like they left no doubt about it. So
it was nothing.
We'll see.
There was no fluky calls. There was no fluky calls, no weird stuff. This was just, even if this was the Wolves, probably they were like at a 5 tonight. They were not close to their best. They played hard, they played well, but they didn't make shots. They made some silly plays, stuff like that. Possessed the ball relatively well, only 11 turnovers. And Ant, we talk about him, he's not going to go 0 for 11 whoever they play next series. That's just not going to happen. But still, even in an off shooting night, 15 points is way down from him, but 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. He's still affecting the game in such a huge way. Almost had a triple-double, 2 assists shy of a triple-double.
Best stat, 0 turnovers.
Yeah, 0 turnovers too.
0 turnovers.
Yeah, 0 turnovers.
How much he has the ball in his hands. I mean, it was an all impressive. It was a very impressive series for the Wolves overall.
Yeah,
just
100%.
Their ability to just keep fighting through adversity and just sticking with it, but also understanding that you're not always going to close the game. I mean, Rudy didn't close any game in this series, and then he's on the court tonight.
Yeah.
Right. And so the ability to that and mix and match. McDaniels found out that's big for them. Their best defender, Dante and Nas, step up, play big minutes for them late in the games. I mean, this Wolves team is for real. I really believe in them. I think they got a good chance to, Western Conference Finals, if not the finals. We can talk about that in a little bit. But I'm very impressed by this team. And it says a lot about, honestly, the Lakers, Luka and LeBron and this trade. And everything that kind of went with him. I mean, Rui was phenomenal for them.
He was great. Yeah.
You got to imagine if you're getting these three players with LeBron and Luka, what they do, and another guy scoring 20, they're gonna win most games. But
yeah,
nope, doesn't happen that way. They have no defense. They have no rim protector. And I thought Chris Finch was phenomenal. He outcoached JJ Redick, not just this game, but the entire series.
Well, JJ Redick he was desperate. I mean, he played his guys 24 minutes last game. He put Kleber in for God knows what reason. You can see he was disgusted with him when he passed up a corner three and stepped on the line on a drive. He's like, shoot the bleeping ball. You can see his mouthing, but it's like, hey, maybe don't put a guy who's barely played in the game with the season on the line. But yeah, the Wolves, I mean, think about the narrative going into the season too, right? It's like they trade Cat on the eve of training camp. Everyone's like, oh man, we just went to the Western Conference Finals. Like, you're blowing this team up. They start slow, but they close 17-4. And now maybe the Lakers, in retrospect, maybe the Lakers are kind of the perfect team for them to play because they get to prove that they can close against these teams, and B, like the Lakers, let's face it, Brian, the Lakers aren't that good. They're just not that good. Like, and Austin Reeves, I caught some smoke for saying Austin Reeves would be the 7th best player on the Wolves. I'm about ready to stand by that because he was awful in this series. He was terrible. He was 12 points, 6 turnovers, 2 of 10 from 3 in an elimination game. That's your 3rd best player? I don't think so. At home. He's a no-show this whole series.
Exactly. I mean, plant your flag on that, Rand. Plant your flag. You got to remember too, like they played 5 games and 3 of the games came with 2 full off days in between.
Yeah.
So this is a Lakers team that was plenty rested for these games, and the Wolves just completely took it from them. So very, very impressive overall. I mean, one of the biggest stats we talked about, every podcast was the bench. I mean, 22-4, the Wolves bench outscored the Lakers bench tonight, and the Wolves are a legit 8 men deep. Like 8 men.
Yeah.
Your bench is Naz Reid, Dante DiVincenzo, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Yeah.
It's tough finding a better. I mean, OKC might be the only team in the NBA that has a bench that can match that. So, I mean, it's a deep team. Everyone understands their roles. Everyone knows what they have to do. And they believe each other, but also they hold each other accountable. I mean, there were times when Rudy was getting pissed defensively when someone would pump fake drive to the hoop, and the whole Wolves defense collapsed, and they kick out to an open 3.
Yeah.
Rudy is yelling at his teammates, "Stay out! I got the paint. Stay out! Stay out!" So, I mean, this is a team that holds itself accountable. There's a lot to like about what the Wolves are doing, and I mean, I'm not ready to say the trade for Luka was a fail because you added Luka Doncic and you gave up pennies on the dollar for it. So it's a win there. But I mean, what does this do for LeBron's legacy? That's the real big question.
And they've got work to do. I mean, you figure LeBron's got another go round at it, and they're going to spend the whole off season figure out how he and Luka can play better together than they did, because that was terrible. Like they do not seem like they play well together in this moment. They need time together. They need other players. We'll see what they have to spend. We'll see what they can do, but it calls into question. Like, you're not about to say, hey, not about to say the Mavericks were right for making that trade, but you can kind of see this is not the impeccable fit that you maybe just assume it is, because those two are so great individually. Like LeBron's still 40, he's human. Luka's got a lot of deficiencies too, and together some of their skill sets overlap.
For what it's worth, I don't think Mark Williams makes a difference in this series either. The trade that felt, I really don't.
No, probably not.
The Wolves are just, you realize in a series like this how big and athletic and nasty the Wolves are in a series like this. I mean, they're more skilled, they're deeper.
It would have been interesting, though. That would have been
oh, yeah, it definitely would have been.
That would have been interesting to see him in the middle, but I don't know. They need a big. They need a lot of help.
They really do. There's a lot going on there.
Let's run a little bit of commentary from the social media folks.
All right, I'm ready.
A lot of people are up. A lot of people are up. I've been trading barbs with Lakers fans for 5 games, and a lot of people, a lot of Wolves fans caught up in their mentions now too. So that's fun. They're getting after him. But Ant VP says clearly the better team. If it weren't for such a terrible game 2 start, it would have been a sweep. I mean, maybe let's not rule that out. I mean, they were clearly the better team. Turned into a gentleman's sweep, as we call it in the business. When you win in 5, Wolves in 5, give them 1, give them game 2. That's fine. I like that. I commented about how they missed 43. Said feels like Brian says feels like Rudy rebounded like 25 of those misses. He didn't get 25 of them, but he was cleaning up their missed threes and putting them back right away.
It was about time Rudy was strong with the ball. You
Yes.
know, too often he'll try and tap it out, or he wasn't. Tonight, Rudy came with a different mindset, a different physicality from the start. And I don't know if that's Vince trying to drop the first play for him and get him involved right away, but there was something different about the way Rudy played tonight. And maybe it was a thought saying, hey, they're going to start Dorian Finney-Smith. They clearly don't respect me at all. And he played like a man who felt like he was disrespected. I don't know what this means going forward for the Wolves and Rudy, but if anything, this was a great stepping stone for them. And, this is something that, he is capable of doing against certain teams, a la Warriors, if they play him next round.
Well, I'm going to say that like you read my mind because I'm going to my next comment from my old neighbor Tom. Says it felt like the Wolves had a different MVP for every game this series. Clearly the better team. Could the second round be less pressure than this marquee Lakers matchup? Let's take all those at once. Great point, because you had the couple Jaden McDaniels games. You had the Ant game in Game 4 for sure. You had a couple Nas game. You had a Randall game. Like you definitely can make the case that there were 5 different MVPs. Gobert in this one, obviously.
Yep, for sure.
And that's what they can do, right? They don't necessarily have a clear number 3 player, but they've got a bunch of guys who on any given night can be that third scorer and take the pressure off of Ant. Even though he had 15 tonight, they still win this game.
Which is crazy to think about.
I don't know if the second round is going to be less pressure if it's Golden State, though, because
I have thoughts there.
You bring Steph into the mix. You bring the whole Draymond, Rudy energy
Jimmy's coming
into the
back
mix.
To the
you got
Cities,
Jimmy
baby.
coming back. I mean, Jimmy. I was talking to colleague Jeff Day about this, and he's kind of like, is Jimmy really a big deal anymore? And that was a long time ago, right? That trade was 7 years ago, but still, there was the drama. He doesn't need extra motivation, but he can always use whatever he's got. I made the point to him that I think it's a shame. Like you could never have had Ant without the Jimmy trade, because that kind of reset everything.
Yeah.
And you ended up getting in the lottery a couple years later. But I think Ant and Jimmy would have been hellacious as a duo.
Oh my God.
Can you think about those two?
Dude. That would have been amazing, because Ant already has that dog, that nasty.
Right. At 23. Jimmy would have loved playing with Ant. As much as he hated playing with Wiggins and Cat, he would have loved playing with Ant.
Could you imagine how much like Ant talks smack and he is this and he is that? Could you imagine how much worse he would have been with Jimmy?
Oh my God.
It would have been amazing. I mean, the storylines are themselves. Ant is already ticked off Kevin Durant. He's ticked off LeBron James. Steph Curry next.
Yeah, Luka. Here you got Luka now, and he got
Luka as well,
and he got Jokic in last year too.
Yeah, Jokic last year. I mean, he's ticking people off one by one at 23 years old. So you have that storyline. The Rudy Draymond storyline is, I mean, that writes itself. That's going to be really intriguing, really interesting to watch. Jimmy's coming back. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo was with the Warriors. I think he was not on that 22 team that won it all, but he's with the Warriors. Okay. Was he? No.
I think he won a championship somewhere. Was it with the Bucks?
It was with the Bucks. I think he won with the Bucks.
He won a title somewhere.
He won with the Bucks, yes. But I mean, he was with the Warriors at one point. So there's a lot of little interesting storylines there. And I'll be honest, for me, I'm rooting for it. I grew up in the Bay Area. I've been a Warrior fan since '99 when my dad would take me to games at Oracle, and we would sit up top and you actually feel it shake. They basically paid you to go to Warrior games back in '99 because it was so bad.
Sure, you're right.
But so I'm a Warrior fan for that. Watching the Wolves now, that would be such a fun series. I also do think that would be the better series for the Wolves matchup wise.
Yeah,
the Rockets don't have the closers, but they have the athletes to really keep up and push the Wolves and kind of maybe get in their heads a little bit. But I think the Warriors, it's a version of the Lakers. It's a better version of the Lakers.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a problem the Warriors are going to have trying, because they don't want to push the tempo. They don't want to push the pace. They want to slow it down. That's going to be an issue against the Timberwolves.
Warriors, in contrast to the Wolves, did not put the foot down tonight. They took the foot off the gas. They were down 25-27 at halftime to Houston, ended up losing in a rout. The final score is only 15, but that thing was over. Butler only had 8 points. He was a -23. Curry only played 23 minutes. Like, they're saving it for game 6 at home, but that's a dangerous game to play. Like, that was the thing I said coming into this thing. I said to Chip, like, you got to play this game like you don't want to give the Lakers any air. And I think the Wolves did. For as poorly as they shot, I thought the intensity was there from the start. They did not seem like a team that was just happy to be up 3-1 and ready to try to win at home.
It was a weird game because, you would see small things like, LeBron would get an and one, or, something would happen and you're like, okay, the Lakers have got to be up by 2 or 3 now. And you look, Wolves are still up 1, still up 2, still up 3.
Yeah.
The Lakers, they broke through, but they never really fully broke through. The Wolves answered every single time. So that says a lot about them. But the game the Lakers, you just felt like you're kind of in quicksand the whole time. The more you fought, the more you kind of started to drown a little bit.
Yeah.
There's that Warrior game. I mean, I think it was smart of Steve Kerr to pull the starters midway through the third quarter. I mean, little fun fact there. The last time the Warriors were down, went 3-1 to a young, hungry team was Memphis 2022. Game 5, they lost by 39.
Yeah.
And then they rolled Game 6 at home.
Yeah.
So I think the Warriors kind of know what they're doing. The good news is we get a little bit of a break finally,
Yeah, we get a break. The Wolves get some time off too. Like they're going to catch some rest here, so they don't have to play right away.
Huge for them to get ready for that series.
I'm going to roll a couple of these back to back.
Let's do it.
Moose says, I thought before they traded Cat, the minimum goal was second round. After the Cat trade, I had a top 6 seed as the goal. I think this has become a great season after that inconsistent start. We have a shot at a repeat Western Conference Finals appearance. Happy fan tonight. Hope they keep underestimating the Wolves. And Leaf says, no question, Rudy was the MVP tonight, but Julius came through with some clutch buckets down the stretch. He's growing on me. Love the pod. Thanks, Leaf. Appreciate that.
I thought Julius was, I've been kind of a Julius, I don't want to say hater, but detractor a little bit the last couple of games. Yeah. I thought Julius was great tonight. And the beauty, what I loved about Julius is that he did everything with a purpose tonight. He didn't settle for threes. He attacked the rim late when they needed to. I thought he was very controlled in his game tonight and his approach to it. I really enjoyed that. I will say this, though. When that trade happened, I was a big fan. I was one of the few supporters of that trade. I've got receipts where I talked to Chris Hine about it. Multiple people in the office. I was, I said, I like this. That you bring in 2 for 1.
I liked it too. You and I were probably the only ones.
You and I both. You were the only ones. I think we talked about it at one point. I like this for what this can do. And we knew it was going to be a slow start to begin with, but Finch, once they found a rhythm, I think there was a lot to like about this team and what they give you. And this team with Dante and Julius has a nastiness and an edge to them when they close lineups 1 through 5, which they did not with Cat.
No.
I agree. So I'm a big fan of it, and it was just a matter of time till they put it together. And my hot take, I'm sticking with it. I said in the very beginning, I think the Wolves make the finals. I think they beat the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. I said in the beginning, and you can't even call me a homer because I'm a Warrior fan. I've been around the game enough to understand. I like this team. The Wolves are a team that they will not be afraid to go play OKC. They're not afraid of OKC, and they have a guy who every time he sits on the court believes he is the best player on the court. And granted, most of the time that's probably true. They got more experience than the Thunder. It's good that if those two teams meet, that's going to be a banger of a series. But I think I picked the Wolves to go to the finals, and I'm going to stick with that pick.
Well, I think they got a chance. Whoever they play in the second round, the way they're playing right now, I give them a good chance. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but they've got a chance. And they beat Oklahoma City twice this year. I think that would be a great series if that indeed is the collision course. Let's finish with this from Michael. Left a comment straight on StreamYard. Just can't believe this is the same Wolves team that was so brutally bad for so much of my childhood. Beating LeBron and the Lakers were a pipe dream just a few years ago. And someone else pointed out too, this is 3 playoff series victories for Ant. That's more than KG. KG had 2 with the Wolves. So he's already surpassed that. He's already surpassed that. KG only had that 1 playoff run, that Western Conference Finals run in 2004. Everything else was a one and done in those other 7 years for him here. Again, not much of a supporting cast for him. It wasn't necessarily all his fault, but Ant has that playoff Ant to him. Even though he didn't make the shots tonight, he's got that thing where you look at it, you say, hey, he gives you a chance to win no matter what.
He still controlled the game so much for shooting so poorly. And to be 23 and to already have that skill, it's extremely rare.
It is. It's extraordinarily rare.
Unbelievable. And so to watch his growth is going to be so much fun to track over the next couple of years. I mean, he's 4 or 5 years from his prime. Terrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the Wolves are peaking at the right time. We'll keep doing these. It'll be a while, though, because you got to wait for whatever happens in Game 6 of Warriors-Rockets before we know that. Sneaky thing, Wolves will have home court if it's against Warriors because it's 6 versus 7.
And that's the big thing. How great would that be?
That'd be fun. Start at home. Why not?
We'll be there. It'll be a blast.
Yeah, be a blast. We'll keep doing them. Ryan, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for listening. When this one goes game 1, we'll be right back at it.